We wanted to say hello using some Indonesian words,
All
which
right.
we try to learn. We
Okay,
don't know
okay.
if it's right
All
or wrong.
Okay.
Selamat pagi, super acara.
Great concert.
Okay.
No?
Terima kasih.
We wanted to thank you because we
Alright.
really liked it. So.
Yeah, we want to thank you for the concert. It was really great show, especially despite the fact that it was early.
Yes.
In
I was very
beginning of-
nervous it was I haven't been an opening act for an opening event for a long time. So yeah, man. I mean, like in this journey called music, for me, it's like a rebirth of everything. I'm falling in love with reggae music again, and this and that, experiencing new things, but also experiencing things that I've experienced before, like like doing things like that. Maybe in Indonesia, I did that 11 years ago. So it was really fun, and it keeps me up and it keeps me challenged doing that. And I was enjoying myself. Yeah, man.
Yeah, we know that you already had a great career in Indonesia.
thanks.
That we read that your Reggae Ambassador CD was introducing the reggae in Southeast Asia. Is it true? Do you feel like a pioneer of reggae in that part of the world?
I wouldn't call myself a pioneer, but the Reggae Ambassador album was actually more of dancehall. I want to show the different aspects of reggae culture, because I always call reggae music not just limited to music, but it's actually a culture, and I want to show Indonesian people and also Southeast Asians that reggae music is not just limited to Bob Marley music, So I want to show that different aspects.
Yeah, and we heard that you are some kind of celebrity in your country, and we wanted to ask, how do you feel performing in front of the people who, I don't know, but some of them for sure hear you the first time, and I don't know, how do you deal with it?
It's really nice to get like very, very positive comments in which maybe they never hear reggae music before, or maybe they just know Bob Marley. You're like, oh, okay, as a casual listener, but then when they see me, maybe my videos or maybe a live performance, they would say, well, this is a different, delivery of reggae music. So they start to like reggae music more. They start to find out more artists and this and that, So I feel like I'm responsible to educate my audience, or even the new audience that don't know me, about the reggae culture itself. That's why.
Did you prepare some kind of special lineup for the European tour for your new audience, comparing to your concerts that you're giving in Indonesia?
Yeah. Actually, my set list for in Ostróda and a couple of the lineups, the festivals I've done before in Europe is actually more of tunes that I have not released yet, like the tunes that I recorded in Jamaica, and also the tunes that are more from the Salam album, in which it's more dominant with English, with English speaking, with English language and this and that. Even though there's still my delivery as an Indonesian, it still has that Indonesian vibe. Yeah, that's like a difference, because when I perform back home, it's mostly 95% my Indonesian tunes,
Yeah, we heard it was really interesting to hear the Indonesian language.
Because
on the
I'm
reggae scene.
giving thanks that I'm blessed with being a multi, or like at least bilingual, that I'm very comfortable in both languages, in English, even in Patois, and also in Indonesian, that I can express myself in all those languages no problem.
Despite the language of the lyrics, are there any other Indonesian elements in your music to incorporate some sounds or? We heard just a little bit in the beginning.
That one. It's a tune called the Luhur, and we mix up with like kendang from Sumatra, and also mix up with seruling from Sumatra and Java. And actually, my direction for the album that I will be releasing in the next year, it would be more of Indonesian melodies and Indonesian instruments, traditional instruments. And I really want to show something really different, like the evolution of it. Because my first step as an artist in the beginning with the Reggae Ambassador is to show like Jamaican rhythms, but with Indonesian language. You know, to show them like, oh, you know, he's delivering it like an Indonesian, but it's still like really, really authentic to a Jamaican. You know.
Okay.
Do you feel like, because we read that you were in the United States for a long time,
all right,
and that was the place when you first met reggae and Jamaican culture. So do you feel like if you'd never left Indonesia in that part, you would never be a reggae artist?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure of that, you know. But I believe in natural process, you know. I believe things happen for a reason. Even the bad things, you know, happen for a reason, you know. In the next couple of years, you would find out, oh, okay, it actually means this and this and this and that, you know. Things happen for a reason. Yeah. I mean, for reggae music, my first exposure was not Bob Marley. It was actually dancehall music. I was familiar with, like, you know, hip hop, with like Public Enemy and what was it, NWA. I was very, very young. And then when I moved to the States, I have a cousin who used to listen to these dancehall mixtapes, and he used to put them on, and one of them that caught me was Buju Banton's Champion. And I was like, this sounds like rap. He's like, no, it's not rap. What is this? It's like reggae. It's like, oh, okay. So my first exposure in that mind is always reggae. And then I keep listening to the radio. And there was this local radio in New York that played 24 hours of hip hop, but then afterwards sometimes they changed their menu into reggae music, and which is dancehall. When I got a bit older, like 15, 16, I went to house parties. There was, you know, of course hip hop playing, but then afterwards it changed to, when they say, oh, let's play some reggae, it's dancehall. So I grew up with, like, you know, first with dancehall music, you know, in terms now in which when you say reggae and dancehall, it's like a different thing, you know, like, yeah. But for me, when dancehall for me is still part of reggae culture in, you know, in the 90s, yeah.
Okay, and how do you recall your returns to Indonesia after the time in the United States?
It was 2005 when I got back. Yeah, 2005, and it was a culture shock and how things have developed and progressed. Yeah, because when I left, it was during the Orde Baru. We call it the New Order at that time. When I left, it was during that time. It was the fall of the Orde Baru, so it was changing in this what they call the Reformation era, era Reformasi, in which we were going to democracy. Because before it was like a military regime. So and things, yeah, it was a culture shock and how it developed and how the industry has developed, and yeah, also that.
And how did you find out yourself there? Like after the comeback, how did you find out yourself again in the?
I guess again, natural process again. Yeah, I had to relearn myself, and I had to relearn the history also. I read books like crazy in the first 2 years, you know, and that's how I think how it helped for my lyrics also. I developed my lyrics in Indonesian also.
Yeah, we heard the Emancipation song.
Yeah, Emancipation, yeah.
It's a very nice song, I think.
Yeah,
the best moment of your show for me.
Oh, really?
I like
the
it very
melodica
much.
stuff.
And yeah, so you have a lot of Indonesian lyrics that are regarding the history and the current situation of the country.
Yeah, current situation and also past situation, about our identity, you know, about the culture itself, you know, like the song Leluhur, the song with the Indonesian instruments is actually about my critique of like where we're going, you know. We are Indonesians, but it seems like, well, I mean, for me, that a lot of us Indonesians are losing our identity, you know. We keep forgetting, like, you know, batik, wayang and all of that, like what I'm wearing, like, you know, it's part of our culture, you know. That's why it's like, well, when I sing, it's like leluhur berikan waktu. It means like ancestors, give me some time, I want to sing to you about the problems that we are facing today. It's like leluhur berikan waktu, kumohon dengarkan nyanyianku, apa yang telah terjadi, sepertinya hilang jati diri. And actually I mixed up reggae with like Javanese note, like da na 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 na. I want to take them back to maybe the new audience, like how it feels like 150 years ago when you're like walking and you hear an old woman singing that and an old man singing that. And it is very, because we come from a very, very mystical country, you know, that music takes into a spiritual level. So I wanna, like that.
And we had also a question about your stage name.
All right, yeah.
This is connected with the cultural heritage of Indonesia, connected with Islamic heritage.
I mean, what's so beautiful about Indonesia that we are a very spiritual people, and we come from different dynasties of different spirituality, and we never have any wars. So in the beginning we had our own local spirituality, and there's so many different spiritualities. Like the island of Java have Kajawen. It's a very, actually my grandfather, my late grandfather, he was Kajawen, so he's the one that taught me about like local spirituality. And when I cite Rastafari, it has similarities, you know. And then, you know, me growing up also Islamic also. So, and how I see it, that Indonesia is very syncretic. Like we had a Hindu kingdom, but then afterwards it became Buddhist kingdom, and then became Islamic kingdom. But we never left any of it, and it never talk about war or destruction and things like that. It's funny that you would meet Muslims today in Indonesia, and they would have Hindu names. They would have the names like Surya, like Krishna, and they would like, "Are you Hindu?" It's like, "No, I'm Muslim." But they, you know, they have like very Hindu names, and that's the syncretic things that is beautiful about Indonesia.
In one of the interviews, we read that you call the music as a process of intercultural exchange.
Yeah,
basically. Somehow you also incorporate this intercultural exchange yourself, because you're from Indonesia. You're studying in USA. You're playing Jamaican music now in Poland.
I know. It's like the world is diverse, but basically we are one. You know, that what we come from one place, Africa. We're just placed in different places. You know, that we look different because we maybe the weather and the environment, you know, affects us, and we, you know, everyone's blonde. I'm, you know, have these eyes and this skin color and this and that, but all inside we're all red and white, you know. It's funny that the Indonesian flag is similar to Polish flag, but we just reverse. And that the philosophy for us, the red and white represents, actually red represents blood, white represents bones. And also there's plenty of the philosophy of it represents balance also. Represents between, so the red would be matahari, it would be sun, and the moon would be rembulan. That would be the moon. You know, it represents light and darkness, a lot like that.
And in Polish, it's blood and purity.
Blood and purity. Okay, it's almost similar. So you know,
similar. And we also heard that you wrote a book.
Yeah, I wrote a book.
And also you have a radio program.
I'm
Tell us more about it.
I'm the maniac of reggae music. Crazy. Just carrying this mission, you know, because I love reggae music and I want to let people feel how I'm feeling and how many people are feeling in the whole world, you know, that reggae is not just, you know, people loving the music in Jamaica, but like in Poland and Bratislava and Germany, you name it, you know. And I want to show people in Indonesia that reggae is like going global, but also there's a history in it. So that's why I was in radio for 5 years. I wrote a book and explaining on why my lyrics are this way, why do my lyrics mean this way, you know, just trying to show that, okay, Jamaicans created reggae music, but also inspired by the Rastafari movement, and Rastafari movement is inspired by Ethiopia. So it's my book about my journey going to Ethiopia, the spiritual homeland. So it's called Negeri Pelangi. Negeri Pelangi means rainbow country. It's always it's a symbol of diversity, you know. I was inspired by Bob Marley, you know, Rainbow Country, that song. Man.
So you compose music, you play music in the radio, and you also create some words in your book. Could you compare all those different ways of expressing yourself? Is one giving you something more than another?
I think for me, number one would be, this one is a very hard question. Big up. So I think number one for me is between recording or performing. That is my top expression. You know, I love performing, but performing the same songs all over again, I would get bored. So that's why I need to go into recording sometimes. That inspiration needs to hit me. But writing is something else. Writing, it's more of a meditation, and it's a very hard thing to do. I've only done it once, and that's the book, you know. I have another idea, but should I say the idea or not?
Yeah, sure.
Well, okay, there's the idea of like of going to Jamaica and meet the two Nevilles, because Bob Marley had very close two Nevilles. One of them is Neville Livingston, or Bunny Wailer, and the other one is Neville Garrick. He's the graphic designer or the art designer for Bob. You know, I want to see that perspective of like Bunny Wailer seeing Bob before Bob became Bob Marley and the Wailers, and then I want to see the perspective of like Neville Garrick going with Bob everywhere, all over the world. So that's one of my ideas. Yeah, I would like to write some more, but writing takes a long time. You know, it takes like 8 to 10 months to finish up a book, and then afterwards process and this and that. With like an album, you can finish it like in about 4 months. You know, yeah.
You need time to.
Yeah, very much. Especially if you like write a 400-page book, and then you have to like check it yourself from like which page from 13, and it's like,
and coming back.
Yeah.
See what you wrote.
So big up all the writers.
Yeah, that's the difficult job.
Very difficult. Yeah, different concentration.
Yeah, I think we are coming slowly to the end.
All right. Okay.
But it's really nice to talk to you. But you said in one interview that your mom started to be a big reggae fan.
How'd you find out about that one?
I think we saw her.
Yeah, she's a big reggae fan.
Of the stage.
Yeah, she's a big reggae fan. Yeah, man, God bless her that she believes in what I do, and she believes in reggae music. That reggae music can bring people together, you know? Like in festivals, you can see all people from all walks of life, you know, different color skin and this and that, you know? So she believes in that, and that every time the music speaks, so the music vibrates in a different frequency, everyone forgets their differences, you know, and we're here to celebrate life. So that's, I think that's one of the main things that she supports me in, you know, emotionally, that's like that I'm doing something that's beneficial to not just me in my career, but to others. You know, if I can inspire people, you know, I give thanks. If I can inspire and educate people, I give thanks, you know, in any shape or form. Yeah, man. Yeah. By the way, so the story of RAS MUHAMAD was actually, I got it from New York, you know. So I have a very long full name. I don't know if I should say it or not.
Yes,
you probably like,
please.
okay. I have 8 names. I have 8 names. Yeah. I say it once, like Muhammad, Egar, Mukmin, Andika, Eka, Sangaji, Sahadat, Giovanni. I don't know why there's a Giovanni in it.
Giovanni.
So so it's like,
Italian.
Yeah. So if I say it fast, like Muhammad Egar Mukmin, Andika Eka Sangaji Sahadat Giovanni. So and then there's some Dutch spellings in it, a mix of Arabic, mix of Sanskrit, and this and that. But when I grew up in New York, and when I learned about the reggae culture, and when Rastafari sight I, that so everyone calls each other Dread. It's like, you know, Ras, and they ask me. My other name is Egar, and it's very, very, very hard to pronounce. Even for Indonesians, it's very hard to pronounce. It's a very uncommon name for Indonesians, Egar. And they would say like Edgar or Igor and this and this and that. So what's your other name? It's like Muhammad. Oh, it's too long, you know. So I just call you Ras, but I incorporate that Ras and Muhammad as in the spiritual aspect of it. Yeah, man. Yeah, so became Ras Muhammad.
That's a really good story. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, man, same way.
For the interview, thank you for the great concert.
Thanks. Glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, man.
And I hope you'll
Yeah,
come back
yeah.
in a few years.
Yeah, in the next few weeks.
And enjoy the
rest of your
Are you going to stay here
I'm
and
gonna
listen to other concerts?
Yes, of course. I actually I wanted a surprise, but it didn't become a surprise because Kabaka is still on his way.
Yeah.
I wanted to invite him on stage. You know, I was contacting him. He's like, when you? It's like, I'm still on my way. You know, because he played Austria last night. You know, so that's why. But I will be watching him tonight, and if he calls me, let's do it how he did.
Maybe
Yeah,
we'll
touch
see
the
you
mic,
again.
you know. Yeah, you know. See, yeah. Man.